And I need to call this meeting to order. January 6th, 2021, Village of Airmont Zoning Board of Appeals. I'll ask you all to join me. Do you have our little American flag? There it is. Turn it the other way.
I'm sorry.
There you go. And join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag.
The United States
of America,
to the republic
for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
Indivisible.
indivisible,
Liberty
with
and
liberty,
justice for all.
justice for all.
justice for all. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Minutes we're going to deal with next meeting of the board.
Okay.
All right, so that's not a problem. They're being prepared, so we'll deal with that next meeting. Call the roll, please, Suzanne.
Member DeFrancesco,
Here.
member Picarelli,
Here.
member Ryan, ad hoc member Ryan,
Here.
member Katz,
Here.
member Meyer. Scott, you're muted. I'm trying to.
No,
Scott,
he isn't muted.
Okay. Chairman Cavell.
I am definitely here.
Okay, so the only person we're missing is ad hoc member Lukens.
Okay, I'm going to read the public hearing.
Okay.
And that is an application for 24 South Airmont Road for construction of a new single-family residence requiring variances for lot width, street frontage, floor area ratio, maximum lot coverage, and maximum developmental coverage from Article 3 Use Regulations, Section 210-15 of the Village of Airmont Zoning Code. The lot is designated as Section 55.11, Block 3, and Lot 23.2 on the Town of Ramapo tax map. The property is located in the R40 zoning district and is comprised of 1.06 acres. The address is 24 South Airmont Road, Airmont, New York, 10901. We have, Suzanne.
We have several letters that we received from the county.
You can just highlight what the
Sure.
ones other than the planning. Go ahead.
Okay, we received a letter from the Rockland County Highway dated November 23rd, which everyone has. A copy of a letter from the Rockland County Sewer District Number 1, dated December 8th. There is not a letter from Rockland County Health because at this point, due to the influx of COVID-19, they are not doing reviews at this point. So any approvals would be a condition that we follow any letter received at a later date. And then we have the GML dated December 4th, 2020, and I will let the Chairman Cavell read that into the record.
You are so kind,
Okay,
Ms. Zoning Board Clerk. You are so kind.
thank you.
No, I mean that. It's from the heart. December 4th, the letter is dated December 4th, 2020. And we have the General Municipal Law Review, Section 239 L&M, and items 24 South Airmont Road. And this is a variance application, excuse me, please, to construct a new single-family residence on a flag lot with 1.06 acres or 0.68 acres in the buildable area in the R40 zoning district. Variances were previously granted for lot width and street frontage when the lot was created by subdivision. Additional variances for lot area, floor area, ratio, and developmental coverage are requested. The eastern side of South Airmont Road, approximately 205 feet north of Madison Hill Road. And the reason for its referral is it's, hanging right there on South Airmont Road, which is a county road, number 89. The County of Rockland Department of Planning has reviewed the above item and acting under the terms of the above general municipal law powers and those vested by the County of Rockland Charter, I, the Commissioner of Planning, hereby recommend the following modifications. I'll go as quick as I can. It's not the longest, but it's not the shortest. Permitting a development that does not comply with applicable bulk standards considered undesirable land use precedent and result in the overutilization of individual sites. The lot area is 74% of the required minimum, The development coverage exceeds the maximum limit by 160%, and the floor area ratio exceeds the maximum limit by 45%. The ability of the existing infrastructure to accommodate increased residential density on undersized parcels is a county-wide concern and must be evaluated. This evaluation must consider whether local roads will become more congested and the sewer system, stormwater management systems, and the public water supply will be overburdened. The village must consider the cumulative and regional impacts of permitting such development. The proposed structure must be reduced in size to more closely conform to the village's bulk requirements. Number two, a review must be completed by the Rockland County Department of Health to ensure compliance with Article 19, mosquito control of the Rockland County Sanitary Code. Number three, a review must be completed by the County of Rockland Sewer District Number 1 and all required permits obtained from them. Number four, a review must be completed by the County of Rockland Department of Highways and any required permits obtained from them. 5, to reduce the extent of the maximum development coverage variance, pervious pavers must be used wherever possible. 6, public sewer mains requiring extensions within a right-of-way or an easement shall be reviewed and approved by the Rockland County Department of Health prior to construction. We're almost there, guys. The map notes must include district information. Number 8, the referral form for the GML review and narrative by fast forward permits indicate that the lot area is 25,539 square feet. The bulk table indicates that the lot area is 29,539 square feet. The narrative and referral must be corrected. The public hearing notice must be reviewed, and if it contains inadequate information, reissued. Pursuant to GML Section 239M and N, if any of the conditions of this GML review are overridden by the board, then the local land use board must file a report with the County Commissioner of Planning of the final action taken. If the final action is contrary to the recommendation of the commissioner, the local land use board must state the reasons for such action. In addition, pursuant to Executive Order 01-2017, signed by County Executive Day on May 22nd, 2017, county departments are prohibited from issuing a county permit, license, or approval until the report is filed with the County Commissioner of Planning. The applicant must provide to any county agency which has jurisdiction of the project, 1, a copy of the commissioner report approving the proposed action, or 2, a copy of the Commissioner of Planning recommendations to modify or disapprove the proposed action, and a certified copy of the land use board statement overriding the recommendations to modify or disapprove and the stated reasons for land use board's override. And it's signed by Douglas J. Schuetz, Acting Commissioner of Planning for Rockland County. So I put that for the record, and the other letters will be placed in the record. And we have here tonight,
We have the applicant's attorney, Kevin Conway.
right, I'm looking.
We have the applicant's engineer, Bill Johnson. We have the applicant's third-party representative, Fast Forward Permits. I do not know if the architect is on, though. I can't tell. And I will unmute the third party. Perhaps they can answer.
Sure, yeah, please do.
Yossi,
So-
is the architect going to be on, do you know? Or is he on and I just don't know the name?
He's not on at the moment. I'm trying
Okay.
to reach him to see if he can come on.
Okay, all right.
All right, should we have, well, who wants to, at this point, whoever wants to speak for the application, just let us know and I'll give you the floor.
Sure.
Well, can we start off with the GML comment about what the correct square footage is of the property?
Well, let's see here. It seems to be a discrepancy of about 4,000 feet. It was, fast forward permits indicates 25,539. Bulk table indicates 29,539. So an error, somebody can talk to that.
Well, there was a
because-
revised narrative sent after the GML that I forwarded you all. You have it. I'm afraid if I minimize this, I'm gonna lose you all. But I did.
Dated
send it.
November 11th, Suzanne?
Yes, it's dated November 11th. I think
That
it
was in
said
today's
December.
attachment.
It should have been December 11th because that's when I received it, but it is dated November 11th. Thank you.
And what does it
And-
say?
And what does it say, Lori?
Lot area
Say it
29,
again,
39.
say it again,
On the
Lori.
bottom of the letter should have been dated December 11th. It has maximum lot area required 40,000, provided 29,539.
29,000, okay.
Do we know if that is consistent with the old application where they receive variances?
Let's look back.
I can respond to that unless Lou, you want to answer that question?
Well, so one of you, Eve,
Okay, so I did pull out the final subdivision plan, filed map for the original. Well, let me backtrack. The original subdivision, the Willow Green subdivision, created 3 lots. That was early on. I kind of outlined the history of it in my letter. So in
okay,
2005, the planning board then came back and modified the initial 1983 Willow Green subdivision that was approved by the town. So in
Okay.
83, the town approved 3 lots. In 2005, the village planning board approved the re-subdivision of what was then known as Lot 3 into Lot 3A and Lot 3B. So the subject application is what was previously known as Lot 3B. And the lot area that was shown on the plat that was filed for Lot 3B said 45,957 at that time. The reason you have a different area today is because the definition of the flag lot does not allow you to include what we call the pole, which essentially is the driveway, as part of the lot area.
right,
So if you look at the current Sporacco and Youngblood plan, you'll see above their bulk table, there's a designation there that says zoning area, and the total lot area minus the flagpole equals the zoning area. And that's where the 29,000 comes into play. So you have the original 45,000.
Sorry to interrupt, but the original 1980 something subdivision, which created the original 3 lots, there's no indication that that was done by average density, was it?
No, not at all. No, it was not at all done by average density. There was
So
no.
it was
open space- There was
R40,
no open space designated on that plat.
but they were all 40,000 square feet.
Well, lot 3 was twice as big. Lot 3 being the subject lot we're discussing now, a portion thereof, was twice as large.
okay,
So the current area is the 45,957 square feet minus 16,418 square feet, which was the flagpole area, yielding 29,539, which is what they're listed as the minimum lot area for the proposed development on lot 3B.
How was it advertised?
Eve, what was that number again? 29?
29,539 square
Thank you.
feet.
Mhm.
Hey, Eve, I just have an aside question.
Is that how it was advertised, Suzanne?
I did not put, I don't believe, Marty, do you have the public hearing notice? I do not believe I put the total square footage on the public hearing notice.
I don't think so.
I just listed the variances.
It just, I
No,
think
you
you just listed the acreage, 1.06 acres.
Right, that's all I put.
Okay. But all of the variances that are being sought are based on 29,000 square feet, not the lower figure.
Not the
that
25, is
fits. Right.
what you mean. Yes. I believe so.
Okay. All right, let's make sure that gets into the minutes.
Okay. Eve, I have a quick, thank you, Dan. Eve,
Welcome.
I'm just curious, it's an aside comment, it means nothing at this point. What is the actual length of that driveway or flagpole? Is it, I just can't see from the print how many feet that thing is, where it goes from Airmont Road all the way up to the property proper.
From South Airmont all the way up to where it turns north is
Yeah.
467 feet. And then it
Okay.
looks like it's about another just under 100 feet until it gets to where the buildable area of the dwelling would be
So
located.
it's, all right, so it's over a tenth of, a mile, like 500 some odd feet. Okay.
Yes.
I just wanted to make that clear. Okay. So where are we with Mr. Conway or the engineers? Who
Yes.
would like to
Yeah,
make any
Chairman-
statements?
Chairman Cavell, I'll give an executive summary or overview.
Sure.
And Bill Johnson's here for any specific questions that come up. What Ms. Mancuso went through was what I was going to cover on the history of this, because you need to look at this application from the history. Mr. Dembitzer is the new property owner who'll be residing at the site with his family. It's on a single family residence on a flag lot in an R40 zone, which is permitted as of right. But as Ms. Mancuso covered, the historical record goes back to 1983, and then in 2005, when the village ZBA granted variances for the lot width and street frontage when the lot was created by further subdivision. The old building permit had expired from the former owner, and now the applicant seeks the variance relief for the new building permit in order to construct a single-family home with a two-story with a garage. First floor is approximately, from my calculations, 2,800 square feet. The second floor, 2,500 square feet. Basement area of 2,300 square feet and a garage of 705 square feet for a total of approximately 8,200 square feet. The additional variances that are now required for the lot area, as noted, because of and we had lengthy discussions with our esteemed building inspector, Mr. Zumo, who both Mr. Johnson and I, with regard to the flag lot and what's permitted with the calculations, we had to reduce the available square footage on the lot because of the usable area that comes down to approximately, you have to factor out the jut of the flag pole, which is about 16,000 square feet. So because of that, that jumps up our FAR, which requires an additional variance. And for bulk in the R40 zone is development coverage 20%, with the FAR at 20%. The other variances were with regard to, as I said before, the former owner received variance for lot width of 125 feet for the 160 feet required and street frontage of 25 feet for the 100 required. The proposed home itself, I don't know if the board, I believe the board does have the architectural plans. It's your basic house. It's large in size, but it's all what you'd expect to see in a house as far as the rooms and how it's laid out. It sits nicely on the site, the way it's arranged. It's a nice looking home that will fit well within the surrounding neighborhood. If anything, it will increase the property values of the neighborhood. The first floor of the home, according to the plans, and I've reviewed them, has a foyer, a small study, a family dining room, and a dining room kitchen with dinette. The second floor has 3 regular sized bedrooms and a large master bedroom with a small sitting area. The garage has 3 stalls, parking stalls. As I indicated, the Dembitzers are seeking this for their own family's use, and the historical record, I would argue, further supports the application for the additional variances, along with the lot width and the street frontage that was previously granted. And we did, after much discussion with Mr. Zumo, go with his recommendation that you need to take the flag lot, the flag portion of it, the 16,000 square feet out of the mix, because that was his interpretation of what the code requires. So wanted to see if there's any questions for the board, and this is a very deliberate board, so I certainly will take back any recommendations or any thoughts that the board would have in addition to any questions with regard to this application.
Okay,
And I believe Susanna had sent you previously on December 10th our response to the GML. I just want to make sure you had that.
You're muted, Suzanne.
I don't, on the same day that we were supposed to have the meeting?
Yeah, we had, and that's why I wanted to make sure to see if you actually
Like,
received it.
okay,
If not, we'll resend it. That's not
yeah,
a problem.
resend it. If I got it, it would be the
Okay.
same, it would have been sent via email to the board for the same day of the meeting that we had canceled.
Okay.
And
And I do appreciate the board.
Because I don't
And I
have
also,
the file.
okay. I also wanted to take a note and thank the board for adjourning it and hearing it as a result of Bill's passing, who I treasured working with. I've known Bill for probably 20 years. And I was totally shocked to learn what happened, because I'd only been, I would talk with Bill every 2 weeks, not always about applications, about golf and such, but I did want to just point out to the board that I appreciate the board taking that into account and holding this.
oh, you're more than welcome. More than
Yeah,
welcome.
and I worked with his father as well.
Yeah. What are we gonna do?
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Lori, I recognize.
Oh,
you.
and I did want to also mention, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, the private drive is currently shared by the 3 existing dwellings. There's a cross access and egress easements and utility easements that should be noted on the filed map.
Okay,
Kevin, can you get the neighbor to agree? This is more planning. Well,
Mhm.
you wouldn't be coming back to the planning board, would you? So we'd have to do it here. A private road maintenance agreement.
Yeah, I'm used to dealing with that in other applications similar to this type, so I'll endeavor to try to have that in place.
It helps. What I find is that it helps people, particularly when they sell their houses.
Yep.
Banks look for that.
Mhm.
It's particularly egregious where you don't have it, and the 90-year-old guy who used to just plow it because he was just a nice guy either passes or moves, and now everyone's scrambling. How do we handle this?
Yeah.
So it also prevents that.
That's fine.
okay. Lori, you had a question or comment?
I need some clarification.
Ask away.
Okay, because my kitchen counter is filled with map surveys and lots of paperwork. This was approved, Charlie, you were the chair at the time, in 2005 with specific setbacks and size. And that person who owned it has then sold it to the person who is now looking for variances. Am I correct? The person who applied in 2005 is not the person of today.
That's correct.
Okay, so the person who bought this, I don't know when, Kevin, you might know, in 2017, 18, 19, sometime in the
Mhm.
last few years.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
He bought that with the variances and agreement that we had in place. And he bought
Correct.
it understanding that it is a permitted site to build a single-family residence, meeting those requirements, right? He had the benefit of the variances, I'm assuming, when he purchased it.
Yeah, it runs with the land, and certainly
Right.
whether you look it up or you don't look it up, you take with notice whether you actually look or you don't look. But
Okay.
yeah, so that's why we're seeking the additional variances now, because of the type of structure he wants to propose. And because it's on a flag lot, I don't believe, the prior approvals didn't take into account what Mr. Zumo pointed out previously. So that's why we had to
Here
have the additional
goes.
variance.
Here's a few of my questions for clarification, and Lou, you might have the answers, or Kevin, you might. If the 16,000 square feet was in the floor to area ratio and developmental coverage, does that change the fact that the front yard setback went from 25 feet, and I believe it was supposed to be a minimum of something else? What would the 16,000 feet change, or variances still would have been required with or without it? Does that make sense?
I think the numbers that you're seeing are the ones that Eve brought up in her letter. The setbacks that were on the original approved map. I think those were determined because of the previous house that was supposed to be built on there. They're not the current setbacks that are available.
The previous house was never built. They went,
There was a proposed, but it was never built.
yeah, they never built, they never did anything. They went to planning, did the
What
subdivision.
changed? What changed
Size of
physically?
the house.
The development coverage in the
Definition of how
original,
you measure lot area.
Well, Bill Johnson can answer. Go ahead, Bill. What were you gonna say?
the development coverage on the original bulk table, when they subdivided lot 3 to 2 lots, was 40%. And currently, it's now 20% required.
And how much is it
Well, if we were able,
required now is 20 and 40, but what is provided with this plan?
I think 29. I
for
think.
max,
That's the FAR.
for development coverage, it's
Oh, development coverage.
it's 52%. If we were allowed to use the actual flagpole, it would be 33%. Makes a big difference as far as the calculation goes.
Hey, Lou, how is that within our building code with application of the flagpole in this type of scenario as part of the lot square footage when talking about developmental coverage? What's the clarity on that?
Yeah, the code reads, a flag lot is a lot which has its buildable area, the so-called flag, located behind another lot, either existing or proposed, and which derives access by means of a narrow strip of land, sometimes referred to as the flagpole, that has frontage on the street. The flagpole portion of the flag lot shall be no less than 25 feet in width and shall not be included in the calculation of lot area. So it
And that
specifically
was passed
states,
on what date, Lou?
I honestly, without going to the code book, I have no idea. That's copied off of the letter that went to the applicant. I don't know what date that code was passed.
All right, because I don't remember that in the replay. It seems to me that that was before the master plan or any other changes, that it wasn't recent, is what I was asking.
Oh, that wasn't in the one that we reviewed a couple years ago and redid.
That's
No,
what I'm saying.
definitely
It's not
not.
a
Oh,
recent
it was prior
change.
to that.
Okay, that's what I was trying to indicate.
Can I ask a question here?
Please do, Arthur.
In the, following up on what Lori was talking about, I think, in the resolution of this, back in 2005, when Charlie was chairman or something, it says there in number 5, what's this, resolution number 5, I guess, the code allows the use of a long, narrow neck of the flag lot to be included as part of the minimum lot area. I take it the law has changed since 2005, but the variance, you want to look that up? It's on 2005. What's the date on this thing here? March 10, 2005. Yeah, Charles Piccarelli, acting chairman. So
And
does
you
that
were on,
mean that the variance that was given back to 2005 that runs with the land is still applicable, or the law that apparently changed afterwards to be what Lou has read now, does that negate the variance that was given back in 2005?
Well,
Or you get the
I
benefit of that still?
I think if they were to apply for a building permit based on that 2005 variance approval and build what was shown on that 2005 plan, then they could take advantage of that. But in light of the fact that they're coming in for new variances, I think the new code clearly applies.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I can make an argument against that, but notwithstanding, the board understands why it is, the explanation as to why Mr. Zumo is requesting it and why, or he's requiring it, why we're requesting it. So it makes sense once you understand that background.
Kevin, can I ask a question of one of the statements you made?
Go
Sure.
ahead there.
Okay, the description of the action on the SECRA is for approximately a 4,600 square foot build. Oops, never mind. Wrong package.
Oh.
I got 6 of them here. I apologize. Did
Here
you
it's-
say though that the square footage for Florida area is 8,200 square feet?
They'll just double check my numbers. That's what I had said.
Yeah, approximately, Lou,
Yeah,
is that?
approximate.
On
80
on the plan, it's 8,294 square feet.
Okay.
80
Better known
rounded-
as 83. Just
8,300 square feet of living space and, notwithstanding below ground and garage, which are not counted in that calculation.
Well, actually, I included
Oh,
those
the
in there.
garage, the basement, second floor, and first floor are counted.
Yeah,
No,
I
no.
included those.
on a basis. The
No, you
existing
just,
house,
wait,
Kevin,
hold on, let me get clarification there. You said 2,800 square feet for the first floor. And what does that include?
That includes the foyer, the small study, the family room, the dining room, kitchenette, and dinette. The second floor has 3 bedrooms and large master bedroom with a sitting area and the garage and
Right.
stalls. And let me just see my notes. Hang on.
No, I'm saying,
Oh.
the living space.
I had 2,800 for the first floor,
Right,
2,500 for the second floor. The basement floor area square footage is 2,300, and the garage was 705 square feet for a total.
right, but as far as calculable living space, it's 5,300 square feet, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, I just want to make that clear.
no, Marty, you're not correct.
Well, it's less than the 80.
8 feet. And
Say it
counts.
again? Say it
The
again?
height of the ceiling basement is livable. Lou, am I correct, is considered part of the count?
Yes, everything is considered part of the count in that house except for the utility room. That's the
Oh.
only thing that's not counted.
Thank you.
Oh, I
Count the
stand
garage?
corrected.
You count the garage, even though it's not livable?
Yes, because the garage can be converted to livable space.
As we have seen.
You do
Only a
that.
few times.
No,
So
and they add on other garages, Lou, but what I'm
Yes,
saying.
yeah,
it's
yes.
converted.
is the,
Correct.
wait a second, since when, the basement or cellar, this is below grade, correct?
Yep.
So since when is that counted as living space, Lori?
It has its own entrance and it has window wells with egress windows. So
Okay.
technically, and it's heated and habitable.
Okay,
Marty, on the last applicant that we had, in order to reduce the living space, we had them reduce the basement height to non-habitable to reduce the coverage.
I take your word for it, Lori, that's,
Finishable,
okay. All
I mean,
right,
is the
that's,
size of this house consistent with the size of the houses in the surrounding area?
Not even close.
so what is the total square footage? We've got 5,300, how much was the lower level, the basement?
Basement was 2,300.
6,
It's about 8,300 square feet total.
okay, all right.
My next question, just for clarification. It appears the original subdivision had to do with a father and daughter building houses on those lots. It shows that 3A is an existing house. Does anyone know approximately the size of the house now on 3A?
I don't have that information. But I've been to the site and the house is quite large, front facade. I don't remember if it was 2 stories or not.
It is 2 stories.
Okay.
I mean, I visited the site a number of times, but I'm not gonna, make up a figure, but, 3,500 square feet.
Yeah, that's what I was
maybe.
guessing. It'd be between 38 and 4,000 square feet.
I mean, tops 4,000 square feet.
Yep.
Okay,
About half the size.
all right. Why the large structure?
Large family, and he wants to have a large house. I'm in a 4,000 square foot house, and mine, it feels small. I mean, it's all what you get used to. I had a condo before that was probably half that, and that seemed large at the time. But I don't think there's no. This is strictly for him and his wife and his children. And when you look at the architectural layout, that's what it is. So.
Yeah, it depends.
All right,
I mean, there's no, this is not an application for accessory apartments or anything else. This is not that kind of application.
no, I didn't say it was, it's
No,
just.
but it's just for the board's edification, because I know everyone always is concerned when they see if anything's larger than what, but the market is, it doesn't matter which municipality I'm in. I've had multiple applications in town of Orangetown where the old capes, which are and I grew up in one, they're look nice, but they're awful to maintain. And the small ranches are typically being purchased, and they put up much larger homes on the site, which require more variances, but that's market, the type of house that he's building, there's a big market for that. So it's not,
All right, but
That's the
Kevin,
kind of the way.
upstairs, they call it 4 bedrooms, and Lou, I don't know, a nursery is not considered a bedroom?
Not usually.
Okay.
Why is that? Because there's no closet?
There's no closet
need
and
a
it's smaller
closet,
than
it's a
the
bedroom.
maximum size for a bedroom.
yeah, there's 3 regular sized bedrooms and a large master bedroom with a small sitting area. That's what's shown on the plan.
Well, it's 10 by 13. It's not, it's a beautiful plan, Kevin. This is what
Yeah.
I do for a living. It's a beautiful,
Can I ask as an aside, Lori, what do you do? What's your full-time job?
I'm a real estate broker,
Uh-huh, now it makes sense.
35 years.
No.
Okay,
She's the real deal, Kevin.
Yeah, no,
Trust me.
absolutely. I forgot to ask last time when I was on. I wanted to ask, so.
I'm impressed that you don't know who I am, Kevin, but that's okay. The house is no longer, I'm just going back to the history.
Mhm.
This original subdivision and everything was granted based on the proposal of the owner and his daughter being able to, the family connection, being able to live next to each other.
Mhm.
And then the lot was sold with, hopefully, I'm sure you weren't the attorney, otherwise everything would have been known what he could build before he bought it.
Mhm.
And I'll take that as a definite, because you do have a reputation. So I know you would have examined it if you were representing him for the purchase. And he's using this, I don't want to say it the wrong way, fairly inexpensive for our neighborhood lot to build an 8,000 square foot house that overtowers everything else around it. Is that what we have going? And now we need to look at the variances?
Except that when you look at where it's situated on the lot and the way it's situated, and it's a flag lot. And again, just from, it doesn't really matter which municipality you go to, this, this is typical type of new home that people are looking to build. They're not looking to rebuild or build a, bi-level, split level, cape, ranch. It's just not the way, as a new home, typically it's not what you see. So it's,
Actually, the movement, depending on where you are, is for smaller, more economic homes that have a Zoom room and a school room for their kids. But getting back to this lot, you don't have any information about the size of the houses for the neighborhood that surround it?
no, and I can, I can provide that if the board requires.
Well, it's sitting in the middle. I mean, I know the other side of that street doesn't have those kind of houses. I've been on it.
No, but even if that's the case, this type of house is not gonna, it's not gonna hurt the property values of the surrounding neighborhood. It's gonna have the opposite effect. It's gonna
Kevin,
improve.
it's one of the standards you have to show in order to be entitled to a variance.
What's that, Daniel?
Well, historically, this has already received variances, so this is not the first time, and because it's a flag lot,
Well, not for an 8,000 square foot house.
no, but that's what's being proposed now, but the mere size of it should not be
Well,
it didn't mirror.
that's part of the consideration, I believe, in terms of impact on the neighborhood. Is it consistent with the other houses in the neighborhood? It's one of the standards.
The standards, but it's not, you can have a different type of home or a larger home. You're prohibited from building what's exactly as it existed when the original neighborhood was put in. Not a,
If the zoning board approves the Florida area and developmental coverage,
Mhm.
you can have a larger home. You have certain variances that have been granted that aren't really the discussion of the majority of the variances that you're asking for.
no, and part of it is because of the calculation with the flag, because it's a flag lot, taking out the jut of the flag. So that's part of it. That drives the additional variances. And part of it is, yes, it's a larger house, but it's not, we're not seeking in and of itself a variance because it's a larger house. The new owner wants to build a house that would accommodate its family on a flag lot. Because it's on a flag lot, it's unique in a lot of ways, but it's also, I think, because where it sits on the site, that does not make it as big a change to the neighborhood, which I don't believe it's a negative change to the neighborhood. For property value, I believe it'll be a positive change in the neighborhood. So it's, in and of itself, I don't think, any board wants to get involved in the type of house you get to build or the size of it in and of itself. And I don't think that's what this board's doing here, but I don't think the board would want to do that and start that as an additional requirement. No matter what neighborhood one would go into, this lot wasn't built on before. People are not going to come in and build in the same size or the same style of what was built back when the other homes were first put up.
No, but we're just talking about when the lot was approved to become a building lot. It was approved based on a certain size, development coverage, front yard, all these things, of
Mhm.
which none of them seem. I mean, I understand the flag lot with the front yard. I do, because you're 500 feet from the street, even though you're 25 feet from your line.
Correct.
I get that. Okay, and I've had that argument myself in front of boards.
Mhm.
But
Okay,
the
what,
point
let's cut to the chase.
is to-
There are 5 things that an applicant needs to prove in order to be granted an area variance or area variances. 1, whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the area variance. 2, whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method which will be feasible for the applicant to pursue, but would not require a variance. That's also been interpreted as applying for a smaller development and requiring less or less substantial variances. Whether the requested area variance is substantial, whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect on impact of the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district, and whether or not the alleged difficulty is self-created. Now, the last one, an argument could be made, this was purchased and it was known what could be built, and that in essence, it is self-created. But I do have to point out that case law is very clear that you cannot base a denial strictly on that one.
Could I make a comment, interject here?
Please,
The-
go ahead. Thanks, Dan.
Welcome.
The FAR required is 20%. If you take 20% of the 29,539 square feet for the portion of the lot we're allowed to use, that comes out to 5908. If we eliminate the basement on the house, the square footage of the building is 5910, within 2 feet of the 20%. If our client was willing to do something to make the basement a cellar that it's unusable, would that be more amenable to this board?
Well,
It helps.
before they answer, exactly how you have responded to what I've listed as what needs to be shown is what needs to take place here with regard to all 5 of these. And if the board were to consider overriding the negative GML comments, these are the kinds of things that would have to be demonstrated in such a resolution in order to show county planning that we looked into it, that the applicant agreed to make the following revisions to reduce the impacts, etc. So it really is helpful in both those regards.
No, and I was going to ask, Bill hadn't, I was going to make the same inquiry of the board, because we want the board's feedback. This isn't, this is our proposal, take it or leave it. That's not how how I present, that's not how Bill presents. Certainly, when you look at how large the basement floor area is, house is not constructed, that would certainly lessen the scope of this.
How many total variances are we looking at here?
5.
5.
Well, in actuality, the lot width and not the lot area, but the lot width, and it was something else I said.
Frontage.
The old plan.
The road frontage.
Road frontage in the old plan.
Right.
Yeah, that
Those
relates to.
Those were originally granted.
Well, it's not just that those were originally granted, but those are the type of variances where typically an argument could be made, there's nothing we could do, that it's an existing condition.
Okay.
Yeah, so you have lot area, floor area, developmental coverage.
Next one would be developmental coverage.
Mhm.
The GML suggested that it's all impervious surface. Lou, is that like pavers? What are the?
It doesn't matter whether it's pavers or not, it still counts for developmental coverage.
Okay. Well, we cannot do anything about the 500 feet. Do we count the footage on developmental coverage on the 16,000 square feet that we don't allow them to use?
It's not allowed to be counted in the area, but you have to count the coverage because it's still impervious surface.
And that's runoff issues.
Yes, it is. It's a water issue.
But that, I'm just a little confused. That current driveway is in place now, or this would be added to the driveway that's there?
It's pre-existing.
So that's,
Just has to be added into the lot itself.
It's pre-existing up to the turn, and then it's continued up to the 3-car garage with the large parking area.
Like that 100 feet they mentioned earlier.
Yep.
But it has to be added in.
so if the driveway area did not include the huge turnaround, that's part of the development coverage that they're talking about
Yep.
in order to allow better drainage. Am I correct?
Yes.
We can look at that. I would have to look at that as well, in the turnaround area to see if that's something that can be,
It cannot be reduced.
okay. That's what I wanted to ask. Okay.
Not for 3 cars to pull in and back out. And turn
I mean,
around.
I go through, I have a flag lot where my property's on, and that's my biggest issue is not having the turnaround area. You have to have one. Otherwise it's,
I understand, but also the turnaround area could be
Yep.
on the other side, not where you pull out and turn around. I think those are usually 10 by 10 or 10 by 12, where you can back out, turn around and pull out. On most houses that don't have the luxury of this, do a regular turnaround off the driveway on the back side of it. And I agree with you, you need a turnaround. I wouldn't want them backing down 500 feet, Kevin.
yeah. Bill, what if it was be flipped to the other side,
If what was flipped to the other side?
the turning area, turnaround?
If the turning area was on the, as I'm looking at the plan, on the left-hand side or the west side,
Yeah.
it wouldn't work.
Yeah. Okay.
How would you get into the garage?
Flip the house.
No, I'm not. I don't understand.
I mean, if the garage were designed so that it was a drive-in on that west side, it'd be a different story, it'd be a different layout.
Right, okay.
Let me go back to the plan. Your driveway is front, 3-car tandem.
3 cars side by side.
Why am I not seeing this right? I'm sorry, guys. Okay, here I am. And it's front loading. Oh, section of the house makes a difference. So it's a front loading garage. I'm confused.
What are you looking for there?
I'm trying to see on these plans, on the first page, it's showing a front-loading garage. On the second page, it's not showing a front-loading garage. On the south elevation, no. Okay, if you have the plans there, the first page of the plans that we received, showing north.
What's the date? What's the date on those?
Project number received November 12th.
No, that's my date stamp. It's the date from the engineer Sparaco.
It's 10/30/19. Hand side.
Does it say revised per building inspector? And a date?
No.
Nope.
Not on the. Do I have the wrong plans after all?
The architectural plan I have on page A5 shows the garage and the first floor of the house.
Say that again, Kevin, I'm sorry.
That was Bill.
It's
Bill.
on the architectural plans, A-5 of 9 is the one you want to look at if you're looking for the garage.
A-5 of 9.
That's of the architecturals.
Okay.
Yeah, there it is.
And the plans I have are dated 10/30/19.
And the entrance to the garage on the side, not front loading.
Oh, it's front loading.
Nine.
Those, I think you're looking at on the side.
Well, I'm looking at A-5 of 9. And it shows a door to come into the garage, a handheld door. It shows no garage doors. It shows windows on the left side. It shows no access to the garage but a handheld.
It shows 3 openings on the front of the garage. It say openings. 9 by 9 overhead door openings.
Yep.
I may have a wrong set of plans, guys, but it doesn't have it. I've been reading plans for a long time. When I look at the elevation on the front, it shows 3 front-loading garages. But when I look at the east elevation, it shows no front-loading garages.
That's the east elevation.
East elevation is the wrong one. You want to look at the south elevation.
All right, let me just. south and east elevation. It's A2 of 9 on the plans I have.
Yep.
It actually says north elevation, but that's wrong.
Well, then maybe, all right, so let me look at
South
another
elevation.
one. North and west exterior elevation. That's where I started with A1-9.
Right.
And on that, if you look at the house, it shows 3 garages underneath the second floor with a railing, front loading,
Correct.
right? We good?
Right.
Yep, that's right.
When I go to the next page, it shows on the bottom of that page the front elevation, but it doesn't show garages. It shows 5 windows in stone.
What
which
elevation are you
shows
looking
the
at?
front page.
What elevation are you looking at?
This is called A2 of 9.
Yeah, but what's the elevation?
It says
South-
southeast exterior elevations.
The south elevation is actually the rear of the house.
It's
That
the
was-
north,
The
That was-
elevations on here, the northeast, south, and west are wrong.
yes.
So the rear of the house is the same as the front of the house, the same entry and steps?
If you look at the elevation that says north elevation, the architectural, that's the same as the south face on the plan.
These are when I wish we were in the same room.
Can I ask
Soon
this
enough,
question?
soon enough.
Can I ask a question on A6 of 9? You have the unfinished space above the garage. Is that just going to be a big open space? Was that just no ceiling in the garage? That's unfinished space?
So the unfinished space, which is 30 by 20, which has 2 access doors in it, is unfinished at this time, but the 600 feet could be finished at a later date.
That included in the livable square footage space?
Yes.
I still would like the plans and why I don't. Okay, so if I'm on the first floor and I'm looking at the plans, I go to the mudroom, correct? And then off the mudroom is the garage. And the plans that I'm looking at show a handheld door, a 3-foot handheld door right off the mudroom to enter the garage. It's a 30-foot long garage, 32.6 on the farthest point, but it does not show any garage doors. It shows a solid wall.
That's the back of the garage.
I got it. If I come to the front, thank you. Okay, so the front is showing,
The front shows a dimension 31 feet, 7 3/4 inches, and 3 9-foot openings.
I got it now. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Lou, does that meet our garage space requirements?
It's a good question.
It's showing 22 feet long. And a total of 12 and 20, 30, it looks like,
30 feet, 6 inches.
yeah. I forgot what the dimensions of garages were,
So did I.
and I thought they were larger than that.
I
I
think they
think they're
are,
deeper than that.
I think they're 24 by 12.
That's
I
what I
think
thought
you're-
they were.
I think
But
you're
that's
right,
just to
Lori.
make matters worse. You know that.
20
I'm
is deep
sorry.
enough for any standard car.
24 by 12, I believe. We got to check the code.
Okay.
I'm sorry, guys, but this is what I do, is looking at plans.
No, it's not
It's
a bad
helpful.
thing.
I usually bake cookies.
I would like to bake cookies.
Mhm.
Now,
All right.
Lou, last question, and this is gonna be a tricky one.
Okay.
For a 50, I don't know whether we call it a 53 or an 8,300 square foot house, how many garages are required?
2.
Just 2?
Yeah, the way that measurement goes, it's up to, I think, 2,500 square feet, and then after that, it's another garage. That's it.
Okay.
We don't
so
keep adding garages. We don't stack them.
Thank God,
Right.
I'm just checking.
Why not?
All right, but those garages do not meet the code for 3 cars. They're 6 feet too narrow and 2 feet too short?
I'll have the architect look at that.
Okay.
Which doesn't help the case with developmental coverage, but
No.
while we're on,
No. So what I would request, unless the board's going to tell me differently, we'll come back with a revised plan eliminating, I'm going to speak to the client to revise the, or eliminate from the basement area, not habitable space. I'll also have the architect available next time to discuss we'll look at the garage stalls.
Yeah, it's very important.
It sounds to me like you ought to see what you could do about developmental coverage
Yep.
as well.
what they might be able to look at, understanding the turnaround, Kevin,
Yep, I'm listening.
is they can do the turnaround and see what happens if they take it from the steps. So if you're going there, you should be able to walk into your house.
Right.
They remove the bottom part of it
Mhm.
so that they have a turnaround available where they can pull to the front of the house.
Yep.
And then pull out without that extra coverage on that part of the driveway.
Okay.
That might help.
Yep, every little bit helps.
If I could add, if you're gonna make the basement non-livable, we're still not reducing the size of this mansion.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear someone who was speaking.
It was Scott. He was
Scott.
saying that eliminating the basement or cellar as living space doesn't reduce anything in sense of the actual size of the building. Is that what
No.
you're saying, Scott?
That is correct.
Correct.
Okay.
It doesn't reduce the development coverage.
Nope.
Right.
No,
Development
it's only
coverage.
foot area on that one, Scott.
What's that?
That only reduces the floor area coverage to bring it with basically 22% of what we have,
Right.
which would be a minimum variance versus what they're asking for, which is a major variance. But the developmental coverage still has the issue.
Yep.
Right. No, can, Eve, will you be able to comment on anything regarding drainage with the building this size on that size, lot?
Sure, yeah, I did prepare a review letter, and that was one of my concerns. I don't know if you had the opportunity to look at it dated December 30th. I can briefly go over some of the engineering points once you get through your zoning discussions and variance discussions. But I did need some clarity regarding the coverage issue in terms of the proposed driveway. It wasn't quite clear where the existing driveway was and where the proposed driveway was going to continue. It appeared to be going down to 12 feet, but I wasn't sure the fire department would be in favor of that. So that's something to look at. But with the removal of all those trees, if you look at the site, it's a fully wooded site. So the removal of all those trees substantially changes the stormwater, the ability of stormwater to be retained on the site. and to absorb the potential runoff. They did propose a underground stormwater system, and I did receive drainage calculations just this morning. I haven't had the opportunity to look at them. But
Okay,
more details on the drainage was needed because it appears that the drainage is being proposed toward the, what we're referring to as the turnaround area. So I wasn't quite sure how they were proposing to pick up the extension of the driveway and look at the grading there and the actual design of the system. But yes, there is a concern because it is in such close proximity to the neighbors of how the stormwater will be addressed.
Can I respond to that?
Please.
The stormwater system is a contained system. It is not an open system. It's not built for infiltration. The overflow will go down the existing driveway toward the south and tie into an existing storm drain system owned by the town of Roundco. The catch basin is designed in the top of the inlet outlet structure. And that catch basin catches all of the water from the driveway and a portion of the land around the house, plus the roof leaders. So it will be containing and have zero net increase in runoff.
All right, if your plan could reflect that, that would be helpful because I didn't see any roof leader connection and I didn't see any lawn inlets, but I did see a
We
curb.
don't have a lawn
detail, so
inlet.
I
The
was kind of
lawn,
assuming your driveway was curved. So I don't know how the lawn areas are going to get into the system if the driveway is curved.
there's no curb on the southerly side of that driveway. The only curb is where we have proposed curb written on the west side of the house where it comes out, that's curb, and it runs down along to where the catch basin is. It just extends slightly past the catch basin. At the end of the flagpole is where the new proposed driveway ends.
okay.
Yeah, if you can clarify that, because with all the different layers there on the plan, there's a lot of information being presented on 140 scale little plan. It would be helpful if the layers could be separated. Traditionally, what we receive is a layout plan and then a grading and drainage plan. And then on top of that, you also have the trees. So the plan is quite busy and very difficult to read.
Okay, we'll have to break it down.
That would be helpful. Thank
Because
you.
Excuse me,
there
I have-
are a large number of trees that would remain, which, when I reviewed it, but we'll show that as well.
Well, there is a tree list shown on the plan. And you can see with all those X's, there's a large number of trees to be removed. And it looks like there's a little bit more to be removed than there is to remain, but we can certainly count them up and confirm that. But it does change the characteristics of the drainage on the site by removing a heavily wooded area.
Okay.
Chairman Cavell, did you also want Kevin to do the analysis of the size of the homes in the area?
Yeah, I was gonna do that myself, even if,
Okay.
yep.
I just.
Yeah,
want-
he did
yeah,
mention
okay.
that, but thanks for bringing it up again to remind us.
Okay.
All of these things would be very helpful in our deliberations. Absolutely.
Okay. Just don't forget, it is a public hearing.
So we need to invite the public in.
Well, I need a motion first, please.
I'll make the,
Lori,
Motion
All
to
right.
open the
Questions?
public hearing.
Arthur,
yeah, I'll make the motion to open the hearing to the public.
I'll second it.
who was that?
Scott Meyer.
Hi, Scott. Okay, thank you. If
And
any
Mr.
member of
Katz seconded
Scott
it.
and I are a team. Yeah.
If any member of the public wishes to comment at this point, please say something.
If you're in the public and you want to say something, could you either say something in the chat or raise your hand if you know how to do that? I don't know if Ed and Linda Vogel, I know they had called me, they were interested. If they wanted to say anything, I unmuted you.
Yeah, the Vogels are
Thank
there.
you.
He's raising his hand.
Yeah. Yes, I do know how to raise my hand.
Yeah, I meant computer wise. I apologize. There's a way to do that. Sorry.
I just took the simple way. I hope
Okay, that's
someone was
fine.
looking
That
at
works
me.
too. That works.
I am very concerned about the size of the house as it compares to the neighborhood, those in the neighborhood. We are nowhere near that kind of house. I don't think we're even, we're 12 Madison Hill Road, which is diagonally behind the existing house.
Okay.
All right. And yeah, and you know, there's something to be said about all the trees that are here. I heard
If I can ask, what is the size of the square footage of your house?
2,500, we added it at 16.
So it's about
3,500 or
yeah.
so. It's about 3,500 square feet.
I think that's what it is. Because we put on an addition about 30 years ago. No, actually, it's less than that.
Whatever. Yeah, but I mean, you know, our concern is also the demographics of the neighborhood is changing. And now we're Jewish, so it's not an anti-Semitic thing in any way, shape, or form. But I'm just curious how large the living room, dining room area is, you know, to necessitate a house that big, you know, right here.
The dining room looked like it was 29 feet long.
You know, which is like
29 by.
Dining room is 25 by 29.
That's huge.
It's pretty huge. Yeah.
Our house, the dining room, the cross by the dining room, it's about 25 feet from the back of the house to the front of the house. But that includes our dining area and our living room. And it's nowhere near 25. So it's
like probably 12 or 13 by 25.
Yeah. So that's an immense dining area.
The actual flow of this house would be a dining, living room, and one is they show only a family room where you have a family room and a living room. And then they show a study, which is what usually we call the fifth bedroom or the office on the first floor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you know, our concern is, you know, we've already have on our block a house that's used as a house of worship. And the concern is, you know, whether we're going to have two right in walking distance, you know, and the demographic of the neighborhood. And as I say, it's totally not, you know, an anti-Semitic thing because we are Jewish. But you know, looking at preserving the nature of the neighborhood.
Oh,
And one
if I could say something.
Sure.
Go ahead, Dan.
That has nothing to do with this application. They're applying for a single family house.
Right.
They've already discussed how they are willing to reduce the height in the basement, making it so that it wouldn't be habitable area.
Understood.
And the law is quite clear that when it comes to the right to practice religion, that municipalities have to give deference. But that's
Understood.
not what's
not what's going on here.
Absolutely not what's being proposed here.
Okay.
And I don't think it. I'm not criticizing you. I just don't think it's helpful to the
Understood.
conversation, nor to any of the issues which the board is statutorily required to consider.
Totally understood.
Okay,
Totally
thank you.
understood. Okay, no, I totally understand. I'm just also, just concerned about the size, it's like double what the houses in the area are at, but you were speaking about looking at the houses in the area, but there's, living here, there's no other houses that are anywhere near that size.
Right, and I know you were on and heard that was definitely a concern that's been expressed by
Yeah,
many of the members.
okay.
I have a question related to that. If this were to be granted, does that in any way set a precedent whereby other people could say, hey, we want to build a house that's this large? Because that definitely would change the character of the neighborhood.
Ed, can I answer that, Dan?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Depending on your lot, you have a definite amount of space that you can build both developmental and floor to area ratio. The home next door to me is probably, Luke, 3 times my size.
Yeah.
That's their prerogative because they have the funds to build that house of that size and the lot permitted it.
Okay.
So the size of the house is dependent on the lot size. The big
Gotcha.
discussion that's going on here tonight is whether or not that this will affect drainage, which is most important that Eve brought up,
Right.
or the look of the neighborhood, which is why we requested the similar homes around it. But no matter where you go in today's world, people have the right to build up if their lot accommodates it.
Great.
Okay.
And that's really what we look at, Marty, am I correct, on these variants?
100%. That's it. That's what we look at. We look at, we zone land. That's what we do.
Right.
Nothing more.
Yeah, no, I'm very impressed by how much time you take and really look at all the factors, having sat in on this, I feel very confident in the people that are running the area now.
Well,
Thank you.
we appreciate that and we appreciate your trust. And that's, there's no rubber stamp happening here, right? It's facts and, the members will then deliberate the facts. We require more facts and the professionals that are hired by the applicant have agreed
And to be candid,
have agreed to do
I
so.
hope you've also seen that the applicant's representatives have been very sensitive to the issues that have been brought up and aren't taking a position, no, we're not going to change anything. They have made it very clear that they are going to try to make changes to accommodate the concerns that have been expressed.
No, absolutely.
So that's
say,
actually that's a nice, that's an even nicer thing. when
Absolutely. No, on both sides
you
of it.
have,
I like the way it's being
applicants
done
that-
so professionally and,
Yep.
looking into all the different aspects. So
Well,
I've learned from listening to this.
All right.
well, we thank you. We thank you.
There's
I
more.
have one
people, I
more
believe, that
question
wanna-
based on what Lori just said.
Okay.
If I remember what she said, since there was a lot of discussion in between. So you look at the ability of the lot to accommodate the size house that's being proposed, right? And the issue here, or at least one of the issues is, as I understand it, that according to the laws of the village, that it doesn't really meet those requirements now, which is what at least one of the easements being proposed is being requested for. Is that correct?
basically,
When any application, or future application for a building permit, which is first requested and it's denied because there is a nonconformity with the local zoning code, they need to come to the zoning board of appeals. And that's according to, how we are meted out our authority by the state. And we proceed accordingly based upon principles that Mr. Crashour, our counsel, previously mapped out in the meeting as to how we would, what we would take into consideration in approving or not approving a request to change the law, which is what we do for a
It's not really
particular
to
building lot.
change it's not really to change the law. It's to
For that
provide
lot,
relief
from the law.
from the code. And in order to provide the relief from the code, the applicant has a burden of demonstrating those 5 showings that I listed. So the purpose of this board, certainly not a rubber stamp board by any stretch of the imagination, but it's sort of a relief valve in circumstances where an applicant wishes to build something that doesn't comply with the zoning code.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
There's
I see
Young.
Mairead Young is here.
Yeah.
And she may not have been on when you said it was open.
Yeah, no, she has her hand raised. I've been waiting for you to finish.
Okay.
Okay.
Hold on.
Thank you. Ms.
Deirdre,
Young?
I'm trying to unmute you. You need to unmute your, okay, there you go.
No, she's
No.
muted.
no, she's muted.
Deirdre, we can't hear you. Deirdre.
You remuted yourself.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Now we can
Yes.
hear you.
Okay, I live on 10 Madison Hill Road, which our house is right up against, I guess, 3A. Is that the property 3A? And 3B is right behind us. So the property in question is, will be behind the existing property that's on those lots. My question I have was more on an environmental impact, because there is a natural spring that comes across from the house on Madison Hill Road, number 11, and it comes, when it rains, it comes down from that hill across our drive, down this way, across our driveway and across all the properties down here, like 10, 9 or 10 down towards 10, 8, 6 and 4 across that way down to there's some kind of a little pond at the end of where this property is, those 3 houses that are there right now. Down there is a little kind of a marsh area. So I'm just wondering, if you develop a house this size, because my property is only about 2,400 square foot.
Okay.
2,400. And so I'm wondering, if you have a property that size with all the washout and everything, how much is that going to impact even their own driveway? And if they want to expand it more, how that is going to keep it? Because on the upper edge between our property and the Vogels, number 12, there is the drain system, and that all the drain from our hill kind of goes in there. But really, when it pours like really bad, like when we had Hurricane Sandy and all those ones, our back end of our property got very wet. So I'm just concerned that if you have more building on the other side, where's all that water might go when it's bad weather and bad conditions? It might not happen every year, but long term, that's where I have more concern.
Eve, do you know if the
Thank you.
stream that she's talking about is a regulated stream?
No, there's a drainage easement there.
That's a drainage easement, but there is a natural spring that it does come down from that. If you even drive on Madison Hill on that other side, on the more southern side of the road going down, you'll see there's always water flowing down there on a
Water
regular
comes
basis.
up out of the road.
Huh?
There's always water coming up out of the road.
Yes. Always coming up onto the road on
Yeah.
Madison.
Correct.
I wouldn't be
Flows right
surprised if
down
there was
onto that
spring.
side over there. I'm just wondering if we have to extend their driveway on the other side, where they'll see all that. I don't know where the drainage is going. Because
Yeah, that the drainage is of concern and they will have to address it.
that's where I have, and the bigger that you're going to have more development, like, tarmac, concrete, whatever it is, it's not going to be able to seep down into the ground.
No, they're providing a pipe system for storage. So it's going to collect the water. It's going to retain it for a while, and then it'll slowly release it into a 12-inch pipe that eventually flows into that existing drainage easement that's behind your property. And as you mentioned, then it flows over toward the stream that ponds in front of what I would call Lot 1, which is right on South
So,
Airmont
because
Road.
At the end of our property, at the end, we have like, I guess, a big, not a manhole, but like,
A catch basin.
I can see there's lines, it's on the property, but there's bars and stuff on it at the very end.
That's the grate for the catch basin. That's where the easement
Great.
is.
So that's on our property.
Yes.
So would they be going into our property to get into that?
Well, it's,
No.
the easement, the connection looks like it is on the back of what the map is saying. Ciscoto, now or formerly Ciscoto.
I've not seen this map.
That's lot 8.
The map I have, it's the first property owner is Moore, the second is Lepori, the third is Wright, and the fourth is Ciscoto Co. I
They
don't know.
moved, they just bought that just got sold recently. So
But that easement is on, it appears to be on the rear lots of the properties on Madison Hill.
We know it runs on the back of our property because it does get wet on that whole area.
Correct.
Which drops off into there, it drops off into that property behind too.
Yes.
All right, the applicant is going to be answering us with respect to with drainage. We have always deep concern over drainage and over development coverage or potential over development coverage. We got to put the water somewhere, and we quite agree, and we're going to get answers on that for you.
So you're going to do an environmental impact or not? No?
No, it's not subject, well, depends on how you define it. Under SEEKR, the State Environmental Quality Review Act, this is what would be correct me if you disagree with me, Eve. This would be a type 2 action.
I would agree.
But it's still, the village still has an obligation, and that's why Eve is on. You're not on every zoning board meeting, are you, Eve?
No, just by invitation.
Right, so our village engineer is actually on this meeting because of the concern, the particular concern about drainage with regard to this application. She's not on every zoning board meeting.
Okay.
So I want you to realize, I think the whole board wants you to realize that we recognized it, and that's why she's here, and she's very good at what she does.
Okay.
So your concerns
I just
were,
want to make sure that portion of it, I mean, I know the size of the house seems quite large compared to everything, like the upper portion of Madison Hill up there, they are slightly bigger, but the lower portion of Madison Hill, which are definitely on the smaller side of houses, because they were built first coming up this street. So they are definitely smaller.
Yes. Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Anybody else at this point want to make any comment from the public? Was that you, Lou, raising your hand? No, you're not the public. You're the private.
Suzanne, you're muted.
I know, I'm just unmuting myself.
Oh.
Thank you. There was a Dorothy Wright that I had spoken to yesterday on behalf of another neighbor. I don't know if she's on. Is that Brandon Wright?
Yes, it's me.
Oh,
It's
okay,
me.
hi. Okay, hi.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me get the dog out of here.
Okay.
Oh. Hi. Yeah, I'm on my
Yeah,
son's
park your
computer.
dog, park the
I'm-
dog. All
The
right.
dog is gonna bark. I think a lot of the things that I was gonna address were already brought up. Drainage issues is a big concern. I know Myron was just talking about that. The whole road is, I mean, water bubbles up out of our road. I'm at number 6.
Okay,
I'm only a few doors down from the Vogels and the Youngs. So, I mean, yeah, my concerns are primarily environmental as far as drainage. Obviously, that's a huge structure. I think it's going to stick out like a sore thumb, but that's beside the point. I also have concerns about how are they going to get all of this heavy building equipment and everything back there? I can't even imagine how they're going to get all of that stuff back there. That's a pretty narrow driveway from Airmont Road behind our properties. Like, are they going to be thinking of widening the driveway on our side?
The driveway is 22 feet wide and does not need to be increased.
No? Okay. Okay. I know that there's been concerns and with concerning the neighbor at number 2, Joe Newsy. He's 86 years old. He is not here. He doesn't have a computer. He wrote a letter. I spoke to Suzanne briefly yesterday because he wanted to have his voice heard. So I have a copy of his letter.
Did
And
he send that to
he
Ms.
sent
Wright?
it,
Do you know if he?
sent it to the village in December because he doesn't have a computer and he can't attend any of these meetings.
Okay.
He's very concerned about, I guess, more of how the current owner has been approaching him. And I know the individual is not on right now, but ringing his doorbell on Thanksgiving, telling him that he needs to move his stuff off of his property, telling him that he should remove his holiday decorations because they feel it's disrespectful. But he's an old man. He doesn't understand a lot of things. And he's very concerned about how it's going to affect his property and where he has his lawn decorations and such out there. And I know
What-
that doesn't really have anything to do with this meeting, but it was very important to Mr. Nuzzi that his concerns be stated.
okay.
And I do have his letter. I just didn't get a
Yeah.
chance to scan it. It's in the file, and as you know, the village is closed. So I will make
No,
sure.
I know, I understand that. Now, I know that part of the property he has been maintaining, I think is actually going to be taken away. That's up by, because his house is on Madison Hill and Airmont Road. And I think over there, if I'm not mistaken, the driveway is going to be widened. Is that correct?
We're not proposing any widening.
Okay, because he was told by the current owner who came to his house that they were going to take part of that lawn area that he's been maintaining all these years. He's been here for 54 years. That part of that property was going to be taken away from him.
Dan, I'm going to object at this point because we're getting,
Yeah,
far
yeah.
far afield from what the issues are. And clearly,
Yeah,
if he sent a letter in, the board will have that letter. But, to have someone else, it's just,
Yeah, or
with all
if it,
respect to Ms. Wright, it's not appropriate.
It's okay. It's just, he's an old man and he feels like he's been harassed and bullied. And I just feel I need to state that on his behalf.
All right, well, you have a copy of that letter, Suzanne?
Well, this is going to be
Yes, I will get
continued,
it to
so
everyone and to the applicant's attorney and representatives.
All right, for next time.
Yes,
Absolutely.
you.
thank you.
You're welcome.
This is
You're
right.
welcome. All right. So what do we have? We have requested Mr. Johnson, Mr. Conway, and to get us some more information for our next meeting,
That's correct.
which I trust that you will do.
I'm just wondering,
Yes, Dan.
if it wouldn't be helpful to continue it without date. Just hear me out before you blow a gasket, Kevin. So that we could send revised plans to the county. So there's a potential for them to change some of their comments that they made. And that would require, a 30-day period from the time that we were in a position to send it, which obviously it hasn't even been drafted yet, so we don't know when that will be.
Well, that would
And
be
then-
fairly quick, because when would your next scheduled meeting date be that you were thinking?
Roseanne?
What,
Uh,
a week
Well,
and a half?
if it's February, well, the normal meeting would have been January 14th, but
Okay,
you had requested for it to be
Correct.
earlier.
correct.
And it was only about a week earlier. The meeting for February is February 11th. And the meeting for March is March 11th.
But I think, because the change we need to make, it's not going to be a major revision. So I would ask to have the February 11th date, and we'll get it, you guys, right away, and get it to the county right away.
Well, the only way I would, if you guys can have it ready for Monday, I got to mail it out Monday, and they're probably not going to get it till the 13th, which is less than 30 days. I just want to point that out. They have 30 days to comment.
Right.
We have to make some changes to the plan, and I don't know that we can get them done soon enough for that, Kevin.
That's
All right,
why I'm
well,
trying to
all right.
be realistic.
So it looks like March.
March 11th at 8 PM.
Okay.
We can do that. We will do that.
Can I just?
See,
add
I'm
a
just
comment?
thinking.
Yeah, one
if-
second, Lori, 1 second, and you're next.
I'm trying to think
Dan?
on the fly. If they change their plans, they come back in February, and the board wants further changes,
Yeah, that's true.
that may delay things a little bit, but it may be a better way of handling it, because if we wait till March and they change their plans and we've sent it to the county, and both the county and this board aren't happy with it, that puts them back at square one.
Okay.
So perhaps the more beneficial way of handling it would be to put them on for February, at least get the board to review the changes,
Okay.
with the understanding it would probably have to be continued till at least March, and I don't even know if that would give the 30 days. But at least they're not human ping pong balls.
Okay.
So when would we have to have plans in, and
I would need it at least 2 weeks before if I'm not sending it out for a GML. So that puts you at January 28th for the February 11th meeting. That's exactly 2 weeks before the meeting at the latest. If you can get it in a couple days before, that would be great, but I seem to always get everything at the last second. And then I want to make sure everything are the right dates and the right plans, please.
okay,
And the drainage calculations, if there's any changes going to be made for Eve.
And the adjoining property.
Right. And the architectural.
Sizes.
Yeah, no, all the items we talked about.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
All right, so is that a motion that anyone wants to make to continue the public hearing with regard to this application to February 11th at 8 p.m.
I'll move it.
Via Zoom, unless in the unlikely event that the governor amends his executive order to allow in-person meeting.
All right, I'll move that. And
I'll
I need a
second
second. Lori
Second.
seconds the motion.
Okay,
And all those in favor on the board?
Aye.
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 And I
It
want to make
sounded
it
like-
clear to,
And
let
I
me
say
make
aye.
it,
Hold it. Unanimous. Go
Okay.
ahead.
I want to make it clear to anyone who is participating, any neighbor who's interested, this will be the only notice that you will get. Because the meeting was continued to a date and time certain, it doesn't have to be re-advertised, nor will it be re-advertised. So mark your calendars if you're interested in participating in the February meeting on this application.
Lori?
Just a comment with no background or consensus, Kevin. While you're speaking with your clients, having heard the few people from the public and the big concern about developmental coverage, as they go into the expense of revising their plans, perhaps they can take a look at it and see if the area being covered can be at all reduced.
Yeah, no, and I'm a good listener, and I had the similar thoughts, and I will be speaking to the client regarding that. So that's, I'll
Yeah,
take
as
that
I
back to
said,
the client.
I don't want them spending architectural time twice.
I appreciate that.
And in case they really are being mean to that neighbor, can you please speak to them about that?
Absolutely.
I
Thank you.
don't think they were talking about them. They were talking about somebody who actually lives on the lot, possibly 3A, not 3B.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. And I thank the public for their participation. And of course, you know, it's always good that we make progress here. And I think we have this evening with respect to this application. In acquiring information and requesting additional information. Any other comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion to close the meeting.
What,
One
To
is
adjourn.
next Thursday's
Adjourn.
meeting canceled?
Adjourn. I'm sorry.
Is
Lori.
next Thursday's meeting canceled?
Yeah, we don't have, this was in place of next Thursday's meeting. I had no other submissions.
Oh, so the next scheduled meeting would be the 11th of February, not March.
Correct, correct.
And what, March is nothing scheduled yet?
Not yet.
Okay, thank you.
Marty,
Yes,
until the governor puts village boards on the vaccine list, I think staying Zoom will work.
I totally agree. I have no
don't
problem.
think at this
I have no
point,
problem with that.
regardless, we would have the comfort zone of a public call.
I'm
Not that I
waiting.
don't like seeing you guys in person, but I think from now on, we ought to do it this way.
I
What,
think
forever?
Ditto.
I agree.
Oh, not forever, man. I gotta slap people on the back and shake hands and do all that
Yeah.
human stuff. And
Stop
maybe
by
even hug,
lunch.
and even hug some people if I so choose. So I wish you all continued good health and be well.
And
we-
thank you, Eve, for joining us.
Thank you very much.
She
Eve.
was very good.
Invaluable.
Anytime, no problem.
February 11th.
Yes, see you all then.
Good
Be
night.
well,
Thanks
everyone.
again, everyone.
Take
Bye.
care.
Bye.
Bye.
Night.
Here.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, Susan.